All right, so this morning I woke up sick as a dog, but guess what? Dogs have to go to work, so no time off, just the master's whip at your back. So a few days ago, someone left this comment: rugged individualism for the proletariat, corporate welfare for the corporations. Corporate welfare for the corporations. Now, that sounds about right. We can't ever have anything nice in this country because it's all behind a paywall. In fact, I was just reading a comment where a girl, I think it was a girl, wrote that her printer has ink in it, but she can't access it unless she pays for the monthly subscription for ink. Doesn't that feel like the monthly subscription for life, where we all have the same potential and desires for leisure, time off, and just to unplug from the system, but unfortunately, we can't afford that subscription service, so we have to work 7 days a week. I spent 9 hours working on YouTube yesterday. Do you think I had an actual day off? The day before that, I actually ended up going to three malls to try and get all of my errands done over the weekend. No, I actually went to four malls: Tempe Marketplace, then the Chandler Mall, then the Mills Mall, and then what was the other one? There was another mall that we went to. Can't remember what the last one was. It might have been the Scottsdale Mall. But I went to four malls in one day, put 55 miles on my car in order to get everything I needed to get done, and still couldn't find what I needed. So that goes to show that it's not really time off. Your time off is spent doing the things that you need to be doing because you don't have an assistant or anyone to help you get the things done that you need to get done in your off time. But with that said, let's get into this video. So the title it came up with: Why the Poor Get Lectures and the Rich Get Rescue Packages. They always tell poor people to work harder, save smarter, and stop whining like life isn't just one big math problem you failed. Meanwhile, when the rich screw up, the government shows up with a golden safety net woven from your tax dollars. It's rugged individualism for you, corporate socialism for them. And the joke is you're supposed to clap for both. Because apparently poverty is a personal flaw, but crashing the economy is just too big to fail. During 2008, I lost my job, like everyone else. And I got a large severance package. And that meant I didn't have to work for a really long time. So I didn't know what else to do. I spent a lot of time looking for a job, but I'm not the most well qualified person for work, frankly. No one likes working. And I'll tell you what, I'm one of those people. Working to me seems like such a waste of time. Working isn't worth it anymore when the wages are so low. So rather than going back to another crap job, I decided to go to community college. In fact, I passed that community college twice this weekend on Dobson Road, heading to between the what was it, the Tempe Marketplace and the Chandler Mall. So I went back to community college. I spent a couple of years at community college, and then I transferred back to the university, and then I spent the next 8 years at university, bringing in total my entire time in the higher education system to around 20 years since I was 16. And I always thought that, what else do you do when you can't find a job? Gaps in your resume look terrible. And your employer will often wonder, why is there this big hole in your employment? You can always say, I went to school. Because otherwise, they wonder why someone like you would be unemployed for so long. And that's becoming a real problem for anyone that's looking for a job. If my friend with a PhD and her husband with a PhD are driving for DoorDash these days, not just after work, but 8 hour shifts on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday are work days, just like anything else. And it's not like they want to. They've got four cars, a bunch of kids, and their kids aren't finding work. I think they're either in high school or just got out of high school. And it's one of those situations in which they don't know what else to do. You have to make money by whatever means possible. And I think this is why crime is such a likely culprit for becoming the career of the poor. For many people, they look at a system that wants to offer them a bucket of fish heads every 2 weeks and think, I can't support myself on this. And the only other career that's constantly hiring is crime. And it's unfortunate because there is a lot of good people out there that need jobs that will never find them. I've said this on this channel 100, maybe 1,000 times over the past 20 years that you can go an entire life without getting hired at any job. The ratio of interview to getting a job to even getting a call back is so low. It's probably less than 1 in 100. I've heard of people. I mean, my friend's husband, I mean, he's in his 50s. And even at that age, with so many years of experience, no one's calling him back. And you have to wonder, well, at what point do you give up? Because I just saw an article where Mike Rowe was complaining that there's so many men in America right now that refuse to work. That there are millions of able-bodied men in this country that refuse to work. And there's one simple reason for that. Because work isn't fair. Work is a place that wants to exploit you, and you just have to let it happen. I mean, last night I had 2 dreams in which fleece was chasing me. Not one, but 2 in one night. That's not a healthy that's not a healthy person. Those aren't healthy dreams if you're being chased by fleece in your dreams. It's not even Monday morning yet, and fleece is already squaring me up to mount. But with that said, let's get into talking point number 1. When poor people struggle, society frames it as personal failure. You hear endless lectures, stop wasting money on lattes, work harder, learn how to budget. Every solution is framed as if poverty is a moral weakness rather than a systemic design. Missing a single paycheck means eviction, debt collectors, or repossession. Contrast that with wealthy corporations. They gamble billions on reckless investments, tank the economy, and when it all collapses, the government rushes in with a multi-billion-dollar bailout. Where's the multi-billion-dollar bailout for the American people? It's not coming. What will they tell you? The check's in the mail, baby. And you're like, well, what are you supposed to do when the system is stacked against you this badly? The only thing you can do is turn the other cheek. And I mean literally. Because you know who wants your cheeks, right? Because the exploitation cycle never is going to stop in this country. The landlord wants your money. The credit cards want your money. And the banks all want your money. By the time you get any money, you make any amount of money, the system is designed in a way in which it takes all of your money away. Repeat. You put that on repeat for your entire life, where the system itself exists because you have a paycheck and they want to take it away from you, like a bully in a schoolyard who wants to take your lunch money. Every time the bully senses you have money, he's going to come over and take it away from you. And there's nothing you can say because you got to keep making those car payments. You got to keep paying your insurance. You got to keep paying the landlord for unsuitable housing that's way too expensive for what it should cost. I mean, currently in this dump that I live in, this place should be $400 or $500 a month realistically, and it was $400 or $500 a month 5 years ago. But guess what? In those same 5 years, the minimum wage has gone up what, $3 maybe? I mean, the unemployment benefit hasn't gone up since the year 2009. I think that's right around, or 2004, one of those 2 years. It's been a long time since the unemployment insurance has gone up. But everything else, when it comes to helping people, that never keeps up. When it comes to hurting people, they're always there, like Johnny on the spot. All right, getting on to talking point number 2. The phrase welfare queen has been used for decades to demonize the poor, especially single mothers on food stamps. But the real welfare queens wear suits and sit on boards. Oil companies get subsidies while posting record profits. Airlines bankrupt themselves with stock buybacks, then beg for taxpayer bailouts when travel declines. Banks gamble recklessly with derivatives and receive trillions in relief during financial crises. Meanwhile, the ordinary people can't even get a rent freeze, healthcare coverage, or a livable wage. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters for the proletariat. There's one thing that matters: your wages have to keep up with your expenses. And what do I say that means? It's not $175,000 a year, because that's what you need to buy a house. When it comes to living wages, it comes to, can you afford to live where I currently live? Most of the proletariat can, because they're apartment poor, right? Everything they make at their first job, for nearly every poor person, goes entirely to rent. Upwards of 90% of your monthly income just goes into rent. Then you got to find another job so that you can afford to eat. And if you're really unlucky, you're going to have to get another job just to pay for your transportation. Because what does your car cost? $800 car loan, $200 for insurance, and $400 a month in gas. That's what your entry level car costs. Because most people don't have $5,000 to go out and buy a beater. And if you end up like my friend and you pay off your beater car, and then shortly after you pay off your beater car, you find out that it needs $5,000 worth of repairs because the engine is shot. Then what do? Now you're stuck with a overpriced pet rock. And that's exactly what she has. And I told her this for the past 3 years. Do not put any money into that car. Get out of that car as soon as humanly possible. And it's almost eerie that the moment she's like, oh, I don't have a car payment anymore, bam, takes the car into a car repair shop, and they tell her your engine is busted. And she's just like, she was texting me about it for days, and I was just like, I wasn't even talking to her. I mean, I was so pissed off at her because I had told her exactly what would happen, and they won't listen because somehow they think that as long as you have hope. In fact, she mentioned this to me the other day. It's like, Millennial Steve, remember when I used to get so mad at you for being so negative about everything? And I'm like, yes. And guess what happened? Everything I told you happened. Every bad thing that I told you was going to happen to you has happened to you. And she's like, I know. Now I understand that you were just trying to warn me, because this world isn't optimistic about your future. In fact, this world wants you to fail, because the harder you fail, the more someone else wins. When the proletariat fails, someone else gains from it. And it's not the other proletariat. The system has always been wired against you and will continue to be that way until somehow you manage to become rich. I'm personally still working on becoming rich, but the plan isn't going very well, so that's why I'm still here, warning you guys that this system is so corrupt that your failure is actually a win for them. In the 2008 financial crisis, why did everything go to crap? Because they gambled on you failing. Predatory loans on people that they expected to go under. Nearly everyone you know is underwater on their car. They owe more on their car than the car's worth. They owe more money on student loans that aren't worth anything. Education was the biggest joke in this country, and yet they're coming for us because they think you should pay back your student loans when you got nothing out of it. You got negative out of it. Same friend that I have graduated in the same year from university. She's paid $7,000 towards the principal on her $50,000 worth of loans since she got out of school. That goes to show you that almost everything that she's paid back has all been interest. And yes, she's underwater on those loans. And nearly every person you know is underwater on some debt that they owe. Because again, this isn't by mistake. They gamble. When they give out loans, they're predatory towards poor people. When you look at the interest rate on your car and you're a poor person and you're paying like 15% interest on a car that's 10 years old, yes, someone has calculated that you will fail to make those car payments, and they have you paying interest on that car for years, and you hardly ever pay on the principal. I look at making car payments on my own car for the past 3 years. The how how little I own of that car. And this is the way that everything works. Everything in life is predatory towards poor people. All right, let's get into the closing monologue. At the end of the day, the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it's designed, punishing the poor for struggling while rewarding the rich for failing. Until we stop buying into their myth of personal responsibility, nothing changes. The truth is, they don't want you to succeed. They want you exhausted, overworked, and grateful for crumbs while they feast on your paycheck. And that next time someone tells you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, remember the rich didn't pull, they were carried. Exactly. We work, they get rich. That's the way this whole system will always work because it wasn't built for us, it was built for them. Even the way this country was founded was built by the lowest level labor that they could possibly find. And the rich would love to return back to a system in which they don't have to pay you anything. Because right now they're not paying you anything, but they truly don't want to pay for labor. Because in their opinion, labor should be free.